Hello, my name is Ferbie.
And my name is Evan.
Hey, have you ever had a shitty job before?
In other words, are you a person?
Perfect. You have come to the right place. This is the Shitty Jobs Podcast.
Ba-dam-bam-ba-dam-bam.
Bow!
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us today. As I said, my name's Ferbie, my co-host Evan. We are two friends. We grew up together. We've been friends since we were 5, 6 years old.
We are friends because our parents have the same job.
That's right.
They are business partners. And they've been business partners for like 30 years, right?
Dude, it's been forever. Yeah, late 90s, so almost 30 years.
Yeah. And I could never do that job. They're money managers. They're investment advisors. I think we can tell people that. We don't have to tell people where they are or what they do or who they are, but they're money managers. They're investment advisors. I could never do that job. My brother did. He went on to do the same thing for the same firm and is making a ton of money. And I am a broke actor. So, that's how that's going. But yeah, man, I could never do that job. I could never do that job.
Me either. My mom has offered it to me, and I have politely declined several times because that is not my bag at all. I am a musician. I'm a musician. I've been in sales, which I'm not jazzed about, but it fits me. And yeah, so like I said, this podcast is to talk about the shitty jobs that we've had. And we want to talk to you, our listeners, people on Reddit, people on TikTok, Instagram, whatever social media platform. We want your stories. We want to talk to you. We want to read what you have to say. We want to discuss the shitty jobs that you've had, the shitty situations and jobs that you've had.
We also want to hear and discuss where those shitty jobs have taken you and what are the lessons that you've taken from those shitty jobs and how have those shitty jobs made you the person that you are today. Because, hard steel hardens steel, to quote that dumb Tucker Carlson fucking documentary fucking thing that he just put out. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, shitty jobs, man. I think capitalism sucks in general. So the fact that we all have to work so hard for so little is such a crime. But I've done a lot of shit, man. I've done restaurant work, worked at the Santa Fe Brewing Company, delivering beer, huffing kegs and cases of beer all up and down stairs and in and out of coolers. And I've been a meat cutter. I've been a butcher. I've been a sales guy. I've been an actor professionally. I've been I've done a lot of stuff. When was how old were you when you first started working? How old were you when you had your first job?
I was 13 years old. I worked in our parents' office.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of seem to remember that actually. Yeah.
I was 13 and I was answering phones and I always had to fake like I wasn't actually working there if a certain person had called from their corporate office.
Child Protective Services.
I just remember he was this guy that had, for some reason, because he was born and raised in New Mexico, but he had this like really thick Brooklyn accent for some reason. So I always knew it was him. He would call in and be like, "Hey, it's Tony. Can I talk to Suzanne? Or, my mom's name, please." And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, sorry. I'm just answering the phone because they're busy. Ha 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 ha. Child labor laws."
For sure. I think I was about the same age when I was working. I worked at a place called the Painted Dish downtown. That was like a paint your own ceramics place. And that was awesome. That was a great job. I just like washed brushes and little palettes, and then they gave me a discount on painting stuff. And they were really nice to me. From then on, restaurants are for me like fucking hell on earth working in a restaurant.
Amen.
And God love you, all of you out there that are hoofing it in the trenches, slinging plates, taking orders from shitty people.
I've worked in a restaurant once. Never again. I worked as a cook, I worked as a server, I worked in the front of house. So I did everything in the restaurant. But oh man, that was yeah, not my favorite job. I
Yeah,
gotta
man.
say.
It's the first restaurant job I ever had. It was the same time that I was in driving school. So I was about 15.
Okay.
And I remember like going, like I would go from class, like from Donnie. Did you have Donnie from TLC?
I don't remember the name of the guy that I had, but I did go to TLC.
He was a
So
weird guy. Anyway, uh,
wait, was he like a younger guy, had a comb over?
no, he was an
Okay.
older blonde dude who kind of looked like he had like high school football coach vibes.
Okay, no, that wasn't the guy I had then.
Um,
The guy I had made me hit a parking cone during my driving test, or he said he would fail it. And then when
that
I
would be a
hit,
shitty job.
hold
If
on,
anybody's
and
out there who's
and then when I hit the parking cone, he said, "Hey, you're not supposed to be influenced by your passengers," and then he marked me off for that. Yeah,
what a sociopath,
I
dude. That's
know,
crazy.
I know.
That's crazy. Yeah, again, any driving instructors out there or people that have to do like defensive driving classes, that would be a terrible fucking job. Could you imagine?
Ugh,
Uh
no, I
but
don't want to.
yeah, no. Um uh so yeah, my first job in a restaurant, I was like 15 and I was working in the kitchen. And I basically came in just on wing night to like work the fryer. But it was just me and this other dude named Chris. And he was from Boston and he was clearly a fucking coke addict. Like he was like, just always wired, always like this little skinny guy shorter than me, and he would fly off the handle like that, dude, and particularly about like plating stuff. And he had just taken over the menu, so he had just taken over this bar, and it was the Catamount. You remember the
Okay, yeah,
Catamount?
I remember the
So
catamount.
like I was at the Catamount with my dad, and when I was 15, I looked like I was 20, so I would like be able to drink in the bar with my dad. And I think it was because he was around and the laws were not as strict when we were younger, so I would
No,
like go in the bar. And that's when I met Chris, and he was offering to like teach me how to play pool because they had the best pool tables, and that's why I liked to hang out there. And I worked partly for like pool lessons, but I was also getting paid. But he would fucking like throw pans across the kitchen and shit. He would like come in and like take something out of my hand while I was trying to like work on something, and it'd be like as tickets are stacking up and as I'm like sitting there frozen because I'm like, what the fuck is happening in this kitchen? And he'd fucking say, I gotta go smoke a cigarette in the walk-in. And he'd like disappear like after he cleared out the entire line. And then he'd go out back like through the parking lot and go sit in the walk-in freezer in the parking lot and smoke a cigarette and probably like shovel a bunch of coke into his face. He was so intense, dude. Oh my God. And it scared the piss out of me. And I didn't ever want to work in restaurants again, but they're the easiest jobs to find. So I ended up working at Pachanga, which lasted like a year. Like that restaurant did not last very long, partly because they had like, 15, 16-year-old serving staff making guacamole in the back on the order because like they didn't have enough kitchen staff. It was bad, man. It was bad.
yeah,
I was washing dishes. I was bussing and serving tables. I was told by the other server that I was working with, like, it's like, hey, these ladies had ordered some guacamole, but we don't have any in the. And she's like, just make some. I was like, you want me to just
okay.
make some guacamole right now? And it took me like 15 minutes, to like make like a batch of guacamole. And then I came back. Luckily, those ladies, like when I came back and I was like, I'm sorry it took so long. They were like, oh, you mean you made us wait for fresh? But they were being cute about it. Like they were just joking. So they were nice. But fuck, man, restaurants are just so stressful. Even
No,
unsuccessful ones, even the ones that where there's like barely anybody in the place.
dude, those ones
The
are worse.
expectations are so high.
Those ones are worse because the managers there feel the pressure to actually get people in the door. So they are like razor thin on patience because their job literally hinges on that restaurant making money.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like I remember I work for those of you that don't know, we're from Santa Fe, New
Santa Fe, New
Mexico.
Mexico.
Santa Fe, New Mexico, born and raised. I
Santa
don't know.
Fe, baby.
I don't know if you were born there. Were you born
No,
there?
I was born in Dallas.
That's right. That's right. Um, I worked at a place called the Flying Tortilla, which at the time my family was a part owner. They are no longer, but I remember working there. I was sexually assaulted by my manager, who was the general manager's daughter.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. So she had her two daughters. She was the GM, and then she had a daughter that was the manager for the morning and one that was the manager for the night. Couldn't stand any of them at all. But the one that was the manager in the morning, she would continually text me naked pictures of herself. And she was engaged, by the way.
Jesus.
She would continually send them to me, even after I said, like, hey, can you not do that? I'm not interested at all. Like, please don't do that anymore. She would continue to do it. And then she would text after that, like, hey, my mom thinks that you and I would be so good together. Ha ha ha. And then it would like progressively get worse. Like, why won't you be with me? Why won't you give me a chance? And I'm like,
What?
okay. So anyway, I got like fed up with it and I asked to move to the night, right? I was working breakfast. This is like a diner. So that's where the money was, but it was so bad that I moved to the night shift where I was making like $30 a night, if that. So I'm at the night shift and her other daughter, who was a little older than me, she had 5 children and they would be in there with her a lot, which childcare is expensive. So I'm not judging that. But those kids had like free reign over the whole restaurant. So they would go and get like literal handfuls of ice cream from the soft serve machine, like into their hand and eat it with their hand. And then like they would go around asking customers if they could have a bite of their food.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, dude.
Really?
Yeah, it was, dude. It was like the Wild West, man. It was insane.
Where was this?
It was at the Flying Tortilla.
Oh, right. Oh
So,
god.
so I finally got fed up because at the time it was my family was an owner in the restaurant, right? So I was like, hey, I can't just stand by and like let this happen, right? Like, so I mentioned it to my stepdad, who was the owner, and he was like, well, let me talk to the GM about it. I don't want to say her name because she still lives there,
Sure.
but she decides to the next day stay after her shift, call me into the back room with her daughter, who was my manager, and they proceed to berate me and try to intimidate me into like telling them why I said that.
No.
Yeah, they were there just like, why are you doing this? Are you trying to make us lose our jobs? Don't you know I have 5 children? Don't you know I have a husband that I support? What's wrong with you? Why are you doing this to us? Do you hate our family? We've been so good to you. Yeah, dude. And so like literally that day I told them to both fuck off and I gave my 2 weeks notice.
Yeah.
From my own family's restaurant.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah,
restaurant.
that's insane though, dude. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's how families cover up generational trauma, is from doing that exact kind of shit and then guilt tripping other people. It's crazy.
Dude, it was nuts, man. Like that. Oh, and they ended up all getting fired like 2 months later because they were. Dude,
I mean, that's a pretty hellish liability to have on your hands if you're a restaurant owner, somebody doing that kind of shit. And I mean, I hope I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't want anybody to, be in a shittier place than they were before. But I hope they figured out how to figure it out. But man, that's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was a different.
Has anybody ever gotten physically like violent with you at a job?
Yes, when I worked at Rhymes of Restaurant, and they sell electronics. I have to not say the company name because I kind of went viral giving some secrets of theirs on TikTok, and they threatened to. They sort of
guest guy.
Guest guy, yes.
Guest guy, yeah, I gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yai. That's it. Yes, yai. Yeah, they blue and yellow have a tag on it. You know the company I'm talking about.
Something I don't know. It sounds familiar.
I had a gentleman who, number one, this was not my fault. I used to work I worked for that company for about 10 years off and on, right? I worked in the mobile phone department the majority of that time. Someone who had helped this gentleman earlier, not me, had fucked up his plan, like gave him the wrong plan. He ended up having a huge bill. I understand he's angry. He came in like demanding I do shit, threw his paperwork at me, and then grabbed me on my shoulders was like, you need to fix this now. And I was like, no, we're not doing this. I was already a little older at that point. I was like 25. So I was like, oh, no, we're not doing this. So I screamed at him back. And I said, you are not going to fucking touch me. First of all, back off, sit down, and do not fucking touch me ever again. And that's when my manager heard me, and he steps in. He goes, what's the problem here? I was like, I'm happy to help him. He touches me again, I'm going to pop him in the fucking mouth. I was pretty heated, and my manager told me to go to the back, and he handled it. But I'm like, you do not touch another person. Like, no.
Dude, so I fucking, when I, yet again, another restaurant job, I was a pizza delivery driver for about 2 days. And the one day that I did it, I was running late. I was getting lost. It was in Dallas. It's huge. I don't know all these fucking roads. I did have GPS, but I like fucked up my routes or something like that. I ended up being late. It happens. I was brand new. This guy, his name was Jay, and it was him and his brothers and his dad that all owned this little pizza restaurant. And I'm 6'2", and at the time I was probably 40 pounds heavier than I am now. So I was like 260 pounds. And he was like this little 5'5", pissed off, bald Napoleon complex motherfucker. And I came in the door, I was late, and I was like already frustrated that I was late. I knew that I'd fucked up. It's not like I was lackadaisical about it. But he comes up to me and he shoves me in the chest. And he says, hey man, why were you late? And I just froze. I really wanted to pop him in the fucking face, but I froze and I didn't know what to do. And I still, like, to this day, am pissed off that I didn't stand up for myself more. I just kind of stood there and shook and let him yell at me. And then I went over to like start cutting pizzas. And I think because I was like squeezing the piss out of the pizza slicer and stabbing at the pizzas while I was cutting him, one of his brothers was like right next to me, just goes, stay cool, man. Just stay cool, man. And I told him, I was like, no, that's not okay. He's like, you're right. It's not. He shouldn't have acted like that. And I was like, that's fucked up, bro. I'm not gonna deal with that shit. And I should have walked out, but I needed the money. I needed a job. I didn't, and at the end of that shift, the dad, it was like this weird Godfather moment, because the dad calls me back. Like one of the brothers says, hey, my dad wants to talk to you whenever you're done. And they send me out, like, around this curtain. It's like they had built a little back office out of like standing curtains. It was weird. And there's this old Egyptian man like sitting behind the desk, and he says, I apologize for my son Jay. His temper, he get out of control. And I wasn't gonna argue with this old man. Like, hey, first of all, why isn't Jay the one apologizing to me?
But because Jay never would.
No, because he never would. And because this is exactly why he is like this, is because his family backs him up whenever he flies off the handle.
Of course.
So he doesn't have to have any consequences for his fucking actions. But I just kind of was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then I just never showed up for work again, Like I just quit. I just quit. But
yeah, that's rough, man. Like, I've only had 2 jobs that I've ever just left. Like, I had one where I was selling insurance when I was living in New Orleans. That one was fucking weird, man. So number one, it was hard to find a job there, like damn near impossible. So the fact that I found one was like, it was selling insurance at this guy who was just starting up his agency. Went in for the interview, seemed like an okay guy, whatever. First day comes around. He puts me in a back office by myself, which is fine. It was cool. And he goes, all right, so just so you know, I have a camera on you. If you touch your phone, I'm docking your pay by $1.
What?
Yeah. So he had a camera on us at all time. And I go into his office. He has 2 big screens in his massive ass office where he's just watching us the whole time. That's all he's doing. He's just watching us, and what we're doing is me and 2 other guys. and he's just watching us, just seeing what we're doing. And then if we would pick up our phone, like I went to check the time on my phone because that's something that people do. He calls me on my line. Hey, you were on your phone. What's going on? You should be working. Yeah. That's not even the best part. That's not even the best part. So he
Like
called.
this, like it's the best use of this guy's time to just be spying on you all fucking day. Like what the
So,
fuck, dude?
so if that wasn't creepy enough, I go into his office. We had the same phone, right? He switched our phones because he asked me to put my phone on the desk. He switched our phones. And then when I went to open it, because he goes, yeah, look at your phone. I go to open it, and it's a picture of him sucking some dude's dick. Yeah. And then he just gives me this. Then he just gives me this look like, oh no, that must be mine, and takes it back.
Oops. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I was like, what the fuck is going on right here? So yeah, I left for that day. I didn't even bother getting paid. I just never went back.
That's probably smart.
Yeah, I was pretty sure I was going to end up a skin suit.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The other one that I just left when I was living in Las Cruces during my 2 years of not going to class in college. Um, I got a job with a telemarketing company selling newspapers. Oh, I lasted until lunch. I lasted until lunchtime. It was a nighttime job, so it was overnight. I went in at, I think it was like 7 or 8 p.m. And we were having to call people on the West Coast, which was they were an hour behind us in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, the amount of like fuck yous and you piece of shit, get a real job. And like I knew, like I didn't blame anyone. I get it. Like I hate getting on calls too. So I made it to lunch, and I went into like the break room that they had set up, and everyone just looked fucking miserable, dude. And I was asking everyone like, how long have you been here? They're like, oh, I've been here like 3 weeks. The most I heard was someone had been there for 6 months. Wow. And I was just like, nope. And I just left. Didn't go back. Didn't give them any kind of notice. My manager called me. I didn't even answer the fucking phone. I think they knew. I'm sure that wasn't the first time.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. I mean,
I just didn't go back.
I wonder if you're out there, I'm talking to you. I want to meet the person that has that job because they're just such a masochist that they like enjoy when somebody hangs up on them every single time, you know?
Oh, dude, that job was I mean, I've done like jobs where I take phone calls, like where people call in. Like I've worked for some like food app companies, if you will, if you kind of catch my drift.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say the names because I do have NDAs, so I can't.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
But I worked for some of them before, and they weren't nearly as bad as having to actually cold call people and say, hi, I'm selling the insert this newspaper.
Right.
What do you read right now? Like I'm literally sitting down at dinner with my children who I haven't seen all week.
I read the stretch marks on your wife's thighs, while I'm eating her pussy, you fucking piece of shit. Go fuck yourself.
Dude, that job was something else, man. That job was something else, let me tell you. Well, I think we've kind of let people know.
I'm sorry if I'm too blue for what you had
you're good.
Mind for,
dude
I'm sorry,
good.
But
no, this is exactly what I wanted, because we've all had shitty jobs, and they vary, right? There's restaurants, there's retail, what we've experienced, but honestly, man, any job can be shitty. Like I have friends who are like in the military. That's a shitty job in a lot of ways. I have friends who do what like our parents do. That's a shitty job if you're not into it. Like that's what I want people to tell me. Whatever job you've had that you found shitty, tell us.
Totally. I'll even, I will say I had one confrontation at a job that turned out actually okay. And it was because I felt like I was being belittled by my boss. It was like 3 instances in 2 weeks where he had said something that just made me feel like he wasn't even respecting me as a person, let alone a coworker, let alone like another human being on the planet. And I told him as much. And I like said, and it's Soto. He knows. He fucking knows. But Soto, so I was like, Sodi. And he said something else, and I was like, man, there have been 3 instances in the last 2 weeks where you've said something that made me feel like you don't even respect me as a person. And if you're going to want me to keep busting my ass for you, I'm going to need you to treat me with a modicum of respect. And I kind of just left it at that. And then he said, well, shit, man. I mean, I'm having fights with my bosses here, and I'm having fights with my old lady at home, and now I'm having fights with you, man. I mean, how do you think old Sodi feels? What you think I'm this and that and blah blah blah. And then he like kind of apologized, but didn't really. Like he just kind of made it about himself and went on some other rant and was like kind of wandered off. And but then later on, he was like, "I'm sorry." Even after he was like, I think he was fired from that job eventually after I had quit after about 2 years of working there, for a lot of those same kinds of reasons. But he called me when he had a different job. Like he had got his new job, and he called me out of the blue and was like, "Hey man, it's Sodi. I just wanted to say, like, I hope you don't have no hard feelings to me. I always thought you were a cool guy. I know you think I'm a cool guy, right? Like, like we're
Right.
cool.
Right.
And if you ever want to come work for me, I'm starting this business." And I really appreciated that, man. I never would have done it, but I like, I thought it was I thought it was big of him, and I thought it was cool that like, even in spite of us having that interaction, I think he had a little bit more respect for me afterwards, and I learned how to stand up for myself a little bit more, and um, since then I've also learned like just this is why I am an actor now, and that's what I say. That's what I do. I have a couple of other jobs that I work on the side. I'm coordinating an event called Make Music Day. I'm the Santa Fe chapter coordinator for an event called Make Music Day, which is an international event. Um, and I'm starting to work at a local radio station a little bit more, which has its pros and cons that I've tried to weigh out. But the point is, I've come to a place. I'm 33. I'm at the point in my life where I'm just not going to do certain kinds of work anymore because I know that it's going to make me miserable, and I'm at peace with that. And
Couldn't agree with you
if
more,
I
man.
end up fucking struggling, I'm going to struggle. That's fine,
No,
but I'm not gonna keep putting myself through a lot of the same ringers that I've been through.
yeah, man. I couldn't agree with you more. Like I'm at a point where I know this is a very like obvious thing to say, but I'm done being in like toxic environments for jobs, man. Like
Yeah.
ultimately that's what it is. Like anytime you're in a toxic environment where either you're not being respected as a human being or like, because here's the thing, I can put up with a job that sucks if it's not toxic. You know what I mean? And
Oh
so
man, if you're around people that are awesome, you can put up with any job.
yeah, agreed.
Like even restaurant jobs, even jobs where it's like you're in the trenches. If you're in the trenches with people that are awesome and that boost you up and that you have a good time with, it makes any kind of task feel doable.
Absolutely, man. And that's the thing. Any job can be toxic. I've been like I'm a musician. I play out a lot. I've been playing out for years now at this point. Fuck, like 15 years. Jesus. Anyway, I've had gigs where they're super toxic. Like there are people that just they have these egos, man. Like I played with one guy when I was living out in Texas, and he was a really good songwriter. He good guy, like just on a personal level, I liked him a lot. But when it came to playing music, he just had this ego. And we were playing a lot of his songs, and he wanted them to be a certain way, which is fine. But he was not the strongest singer, if I'm being honest. And of course, my bandmates, being the assholes that they are, just kidding, I love you guys, decided, hey, Ferbie, why don't you tell him?
Uh,
Yeah, I had to be the one to tell him, like, hey, man, we all love you as a person. We love your guitar playing. We want you to be a guitar player with us, but we want a new singer for his own songs that he had written. And after that band practice, he texted us all saying, I need you all to come pick up your shit tomorrow.
yeah.
Like, and it was just just one of those things, man. Like, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah,
we all
you
play
know what?
together.
That's for the better. It's you don't want it. You don't want it. Sometimes you don't even want to try salvaging those relationships. You just say like, "Cool, best of luck to you. I'm moving on.
Pretty
You move
much.
on." Yeah.
I had a guy who, after one bad gig, which those happen when you're a musician, sometimes you just have nights that you're off, right? After one bad gig, he made us take all of our shit that night from his house, which was a half hour away. Mind you, this is 2 o'clock in the morning. He said, "Come over and get y'all shit. We're not doing this anymore."
Wow.
Just after one bad gig. So sometimes, man, it can just be like, you know, people's egos sometimes can get in the way and make a job that should be fun, like playing music, because especially if that's what you're into. Like me, I love playing music, but something like that can even be toxic. So it's not unique to just traditional shitty jobs, if you will.
Yeah.
But hey, I know we're putting kind of a downer on people that are listening now.
Are we? I don't know, man. I feel
I don't
like
know.
there's a silver lining in all of that. I
Yeah,
think there's a silver lining in all of that. That's and I do want that to also be a highlight of this podcast is like even all of these adversarial events, these things that happen that probably felt like a weak moment for us. They're things that we can learn from, and maybe some of this will resonate to somebody who will have an epiphany and say, you know what, I am in an environment where I feel disrespected, and the best way for me to take care of myself is to get a different job. There are other jobs out there.
absolutely.
That's the other thing, man. There are a bunch of other jobs out there, and
No, I know,
I want to hear about them. I want to hear about the good ones and the bad ones. But let's start
absolutely,
with the bad ones, and then tell us where you are now. So, if you're
absolutely.
out there and you've got a shitty job you want to vent about, or you want to tell us some stories about, reach out to us.
Yeah, reach out to us. I've created an email for this show. Unfortunately, Google does not like the word shitty. So the email is crappyjobspodcast@gmail.com. Uh, feel free to reach out to us. Again, crappyjobspodcast@gmail.com.
Censorship, I say.
Yes, I know. Damn corporation. No, I'm just kidding. Um, no,
I mean, love you,
send us your
Google.
story. Love
Please
you,
don't
Google.
murder us
Yeah.
in our sleep.
No,
Um,
send us your stories. If you want to be on the show, let us know. We would love to
yeah,
have you on. We're not. It's not just me and Evan. Even though I love looking at your face, I want to have other people on too to talk to us. Tell us your
yeah, and
story.
I want to interview some of these people. I want to,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
also feel free to reach out to me on social media across the board. I am at Chubby Elvis. So feel free to reach out to me. I
And
respond to everybody.
I am at yes Evan Galpert on Instagram and Evan Galpert on Facebook. You can also find Wayward Comedy on YouTube, which is me and a bunch of my friends and our open mic in Santa Fe, as well as some of our more rehearsed stand-up bits shows. We're working on writing some sketches here and there now too. So one of these days, hopefully those will pop up.
And you guys are hilarious, man. I watched some of your stuff. You guys are so funny, man. I love it. Of course. Well, I guess this is probably it for the first episode. We're just kind of
It's
introducing
been fun,
ourselves.
man.
This
It's
has been
always
fun.
I could talk to you all day, which I think is going
Yeah.
to make this easy. So,
Dude, we've
yeah.
been friends for almost 30 years, man. If we can't talk for hours and hours, then I don't know what we can do. That was a weird way to put that.
I love you, brother. It's good to see you. Thanks again. Let's and thanks again for everybody for listening to our Shitty Jobs podcast.
Yes, thank you, everyone. And again, crappyjobspodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on social media. We're happy to listen, take your call, take your message, have you on, whatever, anything you want to do. Just give us your input on your shitty job that you've had before, or you might currently be in.
Yeah. Oh, I even talked to this could be a teaser. My friend Corey Herrera who is a comedian that has worked in mental health services for a while, might be interested in coming on and telling us about some of his interesting experiences.
Dude, yes, I have a few people too who have expressed very, very enthusiastic interest when I told them what we were doing. So we
Cool.
should have some people for y'all in the next week or so. And yeah, we hope you enjoy this show. This is going to be fun.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Evan, love you, man.
Love you too, man. Peace out.
Yeah.